Hey Polka Dot Wreath Co. family. I'm Tammy Hodges. I'm the owner of Polka Dot Wreath Co. in Springfield, Missouri. We had a video go viral on how to do a ruffle mesh base, and I'm getting hundreds of people out of 5 million people. There's hundreds that have emailed me asking me for a follow-up to do the ribbons for a ruffled base mesh wreath. So I'm going to show you the most simple way for a beginner to learn how to do that. Okay, we're going to use just 3 ribbons. Let's get started. A couple of facts you need to know. The basic mesh wreath has either 17 or 18 ties. Normally it's 18. So I normally just cut 18 off of it. It's normally, on this one, I can tell you, it looks like there is 18 on this one. So there's 10 or 12 around the outside and then 6 or 8 on the inside. That's generally how it works. If you make your own mesh base, which is what we did in the previous video, I normally do 18. I usually put 12 on the outside and 12 on the outer ring, 6 on the inner ring, on the inside ring. So just so you know, if you make your own base, you've got 18 ties. You should have 18 on this one. If you're not sure of how many ties you have, all you need to do is turn it over and just count them. So on this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So you can always count. Sometimes it's 17, but most of the time it's always 18 across the board. Okay, so before we put any ribbon on it, it's going to be about 24 inches across. If you need to know, just look right down here at my mat and it's 24 inches. We're going to put that off to the side and I'm going to move you down here. What I have here is 2.5 inch wired ribbon. It's very important you only use wired ribbon. If you don't have any, you need to get some. Do not attempt to do a wreath with unwired ribbon. It will look janky. I have 2, 2.5, and 1, 1.5, okay? They're all wired. Wired meaning that if you do this with it, it will stay an arch, okay? If you have unwired ribbon, it will be floppy, floppy, floppy. Okay, so I am going to make it simple for you guys today, since I know some of you are beginners. We are going to, as soon as I find, oh, I can't find it, but I'm not going to search. My rotary cutter has disappeared. It has left the building. Okay, so what I do is I cut my ribbon tails in 14-inch segments. You can do them a little smaller, you can do them a little larger. As you see, I'm looking around for a couple of things that I normally have right here at my disposal, and I don't see them, which tells me that they're in the other room. Now, you can also use a piece of wood. Guys, you can get these lots of different places on the internet, but I have 3 of these, 12 inches, 13 inches, and 14 inches. I like to cut mine 14 inches because I make a really full ruffled base. But some people like, especially for like the small screen door wreaths, you want to cut those at 12 or 13 inches. So we are going to go ahead and cut these at 14 inches each. There's a much quicker way to do this, but because I don't know where my board's at, we're not going to fuss with it. And this is just as simple as a way. So again, we're cutting these at 14 inches. You don't have to be down to the millimeter, but you do need to be real close. You don't want it to, and the reason I don't like to use all the tools and all the bells and whistles whenever I'm teaching you is, friends, if you're a new beginner, you're not going to have all those tools. And I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy them because you know what? Until you sell a wreath or two, you're not going to be able to afford it. Rotary cutters are $30-some for good ones, and a mat is $40. So, I mean, they're investments. And those ribbon tails, y'all, that's a luxury. I didn't have those till I was in like year 4. So, you just measure. And you can, listen, here's a little hint. You want me to show you a little hint? This is what I used before I got my ribbon boards. I bought this at Michael's for $1.99 for a 3-pack. it's 14 inches. So if we wanted to use that today, we could. And what I would do is just simply, and guys, these are $1.99. I just painted it pink. And all you have to do is just go around like that. And it's much quicker when you do that. I will tell you that. But for all intents and purposes, since some of you may be brand new, we're not going to do that tonight. Let's see. So, all right. So we have our two main culprits, our two main ribbons that we're going to use throughout this entire theme. The next thing you do is, I like to do this because when I make these wreaths, I like them to be pretty organized. So we're just going to do what I'd already started, which is layering them kind of like lasagna noodles. It's just easier for you if you're a beginner to layer them. It just is. I will encourage you to be an organized wreath maker as much as you can so you don't forget what you're doing in the middle of doing it. Don't have to be perfect, you just have to be crafty, friends. Oops, and there's the final one. Okay, now, so I have all my little ribbon ties right here. This will do the entire 18 ties. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull them off here 2 at a time, and we're going to do what's called a dovetail. A dovetail just means a pretty triangle cut that looks like this, and how you do it is just like this. I don't want to show you with one of these. I want you to practice with the piece of ribbon that you just have laying around extra, okay? So just cut this off, cut a piece of ribbon off, just practice. It takes a few minutes, but if you remember this, you'll remember how to do it. Fold it like you're doing a taco, right? And cut towards the sunshine. Fold it like you're making a taco, cut it towards the sunshine, okay? Now, if you want to get fancy pants on me and save some time, you take your ribbon tail, you fold it in half, exactly in half. You fold that in half and make your taco. Then you cut towards the sunshine. And guess what, friends? Double duty is done. That's how you dovetail. You're going to want to dovetail. You don't want straight edges on your ribbon tails. It doesn't look very clean and finished. I'm going to move my wastebasket over here. Again, I try to pull my tails down off to the side, especially if I'm dealing with mesh or hot glue or anything. You don't want these ribbons getting caught and being accidentally thrown in the garbage. Okay? So, because I've been doing this a long time, we're going to do it fancy pants style. They don't have to be millimeter exact, right? So, set 1, done. It's really important to invest, especially if you're wanting to make wreaths for a living or for gifts. Invest in a good pair of shears when you can afford to. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over my stool, because this part is a little bit time conducive, and I like to sit for this part, and you may not like to. I like to. Let me show you what you don't want to do when you're learning to dovetail, friends. When you have your taco like this, don't come way down here. See how that's squared and yucky and looks like a set of skis? That's just not, it's too deep. The V is too deep and it's squared off. You don't want that. You want it to be just a 45-degree pretty angle, okay? Pretty angle. All right, now let's get all these tails out of the way so we don't accidentally put anything where it shouldn't belong, where it doesn't belong. Okay, I like to move my tails over here. We're going to go ahead and bring the wreath in question front and center. I always start on the inside. It does not matter where you start. I also untie when I do it. Some people do not. That is my preference. I've done it that way for 7 years. I feel like it lays better. Some people do not do that. And friends, that is okay. Now, here's what I do. I pinch it and make it look like a bow tie. Okay? Right in the middle. If you have trouble doing that, fold it in half. And then that's where you know you're going to need to pinch. That way you have an even Steven bow tie and it's not cattywampus. So you just lay it in there. I take my middle finger. And I push it to the metal. Remember, pedal to the metal. And then I twist it twice. Okay? Then I take my tails and I spread them out to where they're facing out. You can crisscross them if you want. I prefer not to, and I also like it when my tails are solid print, or you know what I mean, like one design, different design. That's just what I like. Okay? Now, because this wreath is not going to have a sign, I'm not going to put a sign on it. If you want to, you can. But this type of wreath can have a sign on it. It will be super cute if it does. But you don't have to put a sign on every single wreath, friends. Okay, now we're going to the outside. It does not matter where you start. Once again, pinch it and just come straight down where you ended. We're just Xing these out. Whoops. There it goes. We're Xing these out. Let me give you an overhead view of what we're doing here. So you're a bit closer to me. You are just gonna pinch it. We're gonna go in right here. Let me zoom in a bit. Right where my hand is at, I'm gonna show you. You pinch, you put it in there, you take your middle finger, push it to the metal, and then you twist tie it. That's all you do. And then you don't want two ribbons next to each other, so I'm just making an X out of them. Sometimes you can make them all facing the outside, but that's usually if you have a big sign or something. I just like Xing them. I think for a beginner, it really makes a lot more flow, and it makes it easier if you just X them, crisscross them. When you're done with this, there are several things that I'm going to show you that you can actually do with this, okay? Now we are all done doing the ties. See how quick that was? If you have something to cut the ties with very quickly, it makes such a big difference, okay, friends? So look at the final. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty, just like it is. But remember, these are all wired, okay? So I'm going to back you up a little bit. I'm going to show you that when they start standing straight up, you just take your fingers and you make that wired ribbon go where you want it to go, friend. Okay? Now what I like to do before I put any balls or ornaments or anything on it, I hang it on something. And I step back and I take a look. And for example, let's say that you have some, I have a bunch of ornaments over there. So you have a bunch of red ornaments. Friends, all you have to do is either wire them or attach them on with hot glue. How pretty would that be? You don't have to have a sign. The rule is you do ornaments or embellishments in groups of 3. You do them in a triangle shape. So you could put one there, one there, and one there, and then your big bow over here. Or you could do it one there, one there, and one there, and a big bow over here, okay? So you could do a lot of fun things. You do not have to have a sign for this, okay? Let me show you the last thing that we're gonna do. You can leave it like this, or you can go one more step. I like to do the one more step. We're not gonna do it on every tie. This is called a funky bow tie. You measure your ribbon 23 inches. 23 inches. You make sure it's exactly equal. Fold it in half. You're going to dovetail it just like you did the other ones. You're going to come down about, on this one, about 3 inches. About 4 inches. And then what you do is you have this front part, right? See how that's wired? And then you twist the butt around. That way, if it's not the same pattern on each side, you're going to have 2 pretty sides. What I like to do is I come right here. I do not untie anything. And I just lay it right in there, and I give it a 3rd tie. Every other one is going to get that on the inside. You can also do it on the outside if you want, but for all intents and purposes today, for this particular project that I'm showing you, we're only going to do it on the inside. When I finish this wreath out, it will probably have it. I do every other one. I don't do every one. I think it looks too much when you do every one. Just tie it in there. Okay. And do you see how pretty that looks? And what I do is I take it and I put the tails facing the outside. I like it when the tails face the outside like that. Pretty. It just adds another dimension to it. Like, it's just so pretty. And it's a great way to take and just use 3 ribbons. I like to use 1.5 inch when I'm doing this. But if you wanted to be really bold, you could do 2.5 inch ribbon on all 3 steps. The 2 sets of tails and the funky bow tail that I do. I like to do the 1.5. I think it adds something to it. It doesn't try and take away from what that was. So I'm coming right here. I'm just laying it right on top of there. Tying it 2 times because I'm not going to go back in there. And that's it, friends. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Let me give you an up close look of that wreath. Let me move my camera even. And let me get you super stinking cute. And I love how all of the ribbons coordinate. That's really important that you make sure that your ribbons coordinate when you do a simple ribbon wreath like this. All right, y'all, go make one, put it on my page, Polka Dot Wreath Co., or email me, tammy@polkadotwreath.com. I have a private group called Tammy's Troops, and I teach this to people all day long. That's what I do for a living. I teach and I make wreaths. So I love to teach wreaths. I love to teach new entrepreneurs and hobbyists. If you just want to make wreaths for your friends and family for the holidays, for birthdays, for gifts, I'm your gal. I would love to teach you. Enjoy this. Have a great time making your first wreath. If you are somebody that has made them before, I'm serious. Email me, tammy@polkadotwreath.com. I would love to see your creation. Bye, y'all. Be blessed and Merry Christmas. 2.5 months away. Thanks, y'all.